Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Suwannee County Board of County Commissioner meeting for December 6, 2022. At this time, if you'll stand for invocation and pledge. Our Heavenly Father, I just want to thank you for another beautiful day in Suwannee County. Lord, please give us the wisdom and to make the right decisions as we go forward tonight for our county residents. Lord, I send a special prayer out to the Sims family as Kim, a girl that I went to school with, passed away, and a dear friend at an early age, and just ask that you take her in your arms and comfort her, Lord. We just pray for all these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So I'm going to make a few statements before we get started with this meeting. I'm actually going to read the first part of this agenda, which we normally don't do, but these rules will be applied tonight. Usually we just let people speak on and on, but tonight it will be individual speakers from the audience will be allowed 3 minutes to speak following recognition by the chairman and must speak from podium. Speakers may only make one trip to the podium regarding each item they wish to speak on. Groups or factions representing a position on a proposition, or issue are required to select a single representative or spokesman. The designated representative will be allowed to speak for 7 minutes following recognition by the chairman and must speak from the podium. Speakers may only make one trip to the podium regarding each item they wish to speak on. And so unless there's an individual item under consent that you want to speak on, you're more than welcome to come to the podium, but all other responses will be held to public comments. No matter what goes on here tonight, I ask that everybody be civil and just do the right thing and just be mindful of who you're talking to and how you're talking to them. So with that, we'll move along to hold election for chairman for 2023. Do I have any nominations?
Mr. Chairman, I nominate Commissioner 5, Mr. Franklin White.
Second. I'll second.
Is there any further discussion, or I have a motion? I'm sorry. I have a motion by Commissioner Land, a second by Commissioner Hale. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Hold election of vice chairman for 2023. Do I have any nominations?
I nominate Travis Land.
I need a second.
I'll second that.
I have a motion by Commissioner Mobley, a second by Commissioner Hale. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Congratulations, gentlemen.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, I just want to give you a little bit of a nod for your service in 2022. Congratulations on your new one, but with all due respect, I think you've done a fine job leading us.
Appreciate that.
We've been through some tough times, and you've done a great job for us, and I appreciate that.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Moving along, approval of minutes for November 10th, 2022 emergency board meeting, November 15th, 2022 regular board meeting, November 22nd, 2022 special call board meeting. Is there any discussion, or do I have a motion to approve?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir. Mr. Pravat.
as regard to the November 15th, 2022 minutes, if you look on page 369, where it says Commissioner Items, toward the middle of the page, and then the bolded letters by there, the board by consensus agreed to and it's actually a summary of developers agreement. That would be my
So
suggested
just adding
change.
the word summary.
If you add the word summary, that'll work.
Mr. Eric, you get that?
I got it, thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir. Mr.
On,
Lynn.
on the November 22nd meeting, on page 369 as well, for the November 22nd meeting, on the second line toward the bottom where it says Commissioner Land noted that there was already an application for an RV park before the Planning and Zoning Board, and it had been recommended that it be heard as a special permit by the BCC instead of a special exception. I think the zoning board hears the special exceptions. My comment was that we maybe consider changing those to a special permit, which comes before the board.
Good.
He's got it.
Good.
Yes, sir.
Any other changes?
No, sir.
Make a motion to approve with those changes, Mr. Chairman.
Motion by Commissioner Hale,
Second.
second by Commissioner Land. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Moving on to the consent agenda. Is there any items to be pulled? I have item number 7, 14, 15, 16, 18, and 19. Is there any others?
Repeat those again to make sure.
7, 14, 15, 16, 18, and 19.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any others?
No, sir. No, sir.
Seeing none, do I have a motion to approve items 4 through 6, 8 through 13, item 17, and item 20 and 21?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Land,
Second.
second by Commissioner Hale. All those in favor, aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. Item number 7, approval of change order number 4 with Music Construction Incorporated for work associated with the wastewater plant. Budget impact $2,866.50 to be funded from grant funds. Mr. Mobley.
Yeah, I was reading on that, on the packet we received, it wasn't a lot of information, and it was very small font or fine print on the contract. But was this part of the original bid, or was it just left out? If you were
Mr.
bidding the
Harris.
job?
No, hit the button. There you go.
Yeah, you got it.
If you'd like, we can just bring this thing back, and we'll get you a copy of the original scope as well.
Okay, so we could table this then?
You don't have to table it, we just don't take any action on that,
This
we'll
won't-
bring it back.
Mr.
Excuse
Chairman.
me, Commissioner Land.
Mr. Harris, is that, I'm looking at the additional agenda items, is that the same as number 1 or something totally different? I know the number is
No.
different, but
No,
close.
that's something different.
Okay. Go ahead.
Item number 14, authorization for road department to pave roads within Oakwood Forest subdivisions instead of chip sealing. Commissioner Land.
No, sir, maybe you misunderstood me.
I'm sorry.
That was me.
Oh, that was Leo, Mr. Mobley?
Yeah, I'm new on this, so I'd like to see if we could get a little clarification on this item. As to, is that a resurface, or is that the total amount for the entire job?
That's the total amount for the entire job.
Yeah.
I'm going on memory, but when we did this in our mid-year discussion for the roads for, I don't remember how many months ago it was, though, we had projected contracting that out and bidding that at over $400,000. Well, in the conversation, and we had all the other commissioners' roads included as well, but in the conversation, Commissioner Hale suggested that we could save some money, and we ended up putting $150,000 in there to chip seal. Well, when we did the calculations on purchasing the asphalt and us paving it ourselves, we figured it comes to about $100,000.
Yes.
That particular project would be served much better to be paved.
Okay.
So that's the reason it's in there, but it's with the county paving, with our paving machine instead of contracting that out.
Okay, appreciate it.
Any other discussion on that item?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Land.
I would just like to encourage Mr. Harris and staff to continue to try to maybe utilize that paver. I mean, I think Commissioner Hale did a little research and figured out that we could use that machine if we can get the material.
That's the biggest thing.
If we can get the material, I mean, we might can do some of this ourselves and save money over the chip seal because we got the machine and we got our own labor. So I just think that's a good idea.
It costs slightly, I'll say slightly, I don't know, it might be 25 to 30% more to do it in asphalt, but I think that asphalt's going to be there a lot longer. And as you know, we're building the base and sub-base to a standard for paving roads anyway.
But if we utilize our labor, I mean, that's going to be somewhat of a
It
wash.
should offset it.
Yeah, that's right.
Should offset some of
Get
that
a
cost.
somewhat of a superior product.
But we had 150,000 budgeted for that road.
We changed it from, I think it was 440 or 404. We changed it to 150, but we've actually run the tonnage in it. And we called about the cost of asphalt today, and we're believing that we can do it for about $100,000.
And the balance of the 50, that goes to District 5.
Well, you actually added a couple of small roads in a meeting,
I
two
think-
meetings back or something.
I think me and Commissioner Land's going to take that and try to do some striping and some roads that butt up both districts. Work smarter, not harder.
I hate to inform you, but it's actually going to take all of that to do those two additional roads that you added to that district.
Well, there we go. There we go.
It might be closer to $1,200 when you get finished.
Spend all your Christmas at one time.
Mr.
Wait 2
Chairman,
years to get
Yes,
it.
sir.
Mr. Chairman, what's the wear life on chip seal versus asphalt?
Well, in the proper application, I mean, it can last 10 to 15 years. Asphalt's going to last longer, but it's relatively inexpensive to repair because the real work on chip seal is the base, the sub-base and base. As long as you protect that from water, repair it. If it gets damaged, then it'll hold up for many, many years.
Would the base would also have to be done the same as per paving?
That's the way we're doing it. That's really the life of the product. So, for example, if you chip seal and you decide to come back later because you found more money or you have more money, you can pave over it. So we're putting a base in that will hold up.
Well, I just wondered about the amount of money we will save on chip sealing versus paving. We use other projects, I mean, a 15-year wear life on it. I know we have the equipment.
We got some of the equipment. We got a small paving box and a little tack machine. It ain't something you could just go pave 10 miles of road with. I mean, you can pave a small road with it, but
Yeah, this subdivision, for example, I think we've got 4 roads in there about 1,000 feet long,
Dead ends.
plus the entrance.
cul-de-sacs.
So we aren't set up to go in there like a regular road construction company, and we don't have the milling machine that it takes to do that, to lift all the asphalt and reconstruct one. But we can go into select projects and we can pave them, and I mean, they're going to hold up fine. Going back to the wear and tear and life expectancy on chip seal, the biggest problem that you have with chip seal is large, heavy equipment sitting on it and turning its wheels and just digging into it, or large semis with trailers that have a rear axle pulled too far forward and they try to turn and they drag that axle sideways across it and tear it up. We really don't have any complaints except one case of that, and then another one where a farmer drug a disc across it, but it would have torn up an asphalt road probably too.
Yeah, I've seen that.
So we repaired that, but it holds up extremely well.
Yeah, I was just wondering about, if it's not on a major road that we, do it on, too many roads we have in subdivision and the money you're saving on to use chip seal versus paving.
Well, I can run some scenarios for you. I think I've got a cost per mile right now. I know I do, I just don't have it with me. I don't remember what it is, cost per mile that I had calculated for a standard width road, but I can get you that information.
Sure.
well, the chip seal road there on 176th Street, which street goes to the nursery, and we run big trucks in and out there a lot every day. And I think we're on year 7 or 8 of chip sealing that road, and it's
done well.
It's done well. I haven't been, I mean, like Mr. Harris says, where you come out with a heavy truck or you do like I do and come out with a low boy and you don't think about it until you done peeled it up like a slice of bread. So it's like Mr. Harris said, it's pretty good as long as it's just straight wear. And it's held up way better than I ever thought it would.
That's good. I was just thinking of, savings versus the use, we're getting good use out of it. That's what I was thinking of,
We'll get good use out of them. What we do too, when we know that someone's driving a semi in and out of their property, we'll put a real wide apron there for them to make wider turns, radiuses, so they're not tearing into it, and that has helped tremendously as well.
Well, then we have that, the homeowner has to put in that 2-foot apron in there of concrete, a foot deep.
We're putting that in, we're going into a lot of areas that are unpaved and turning them into chip seal roads, so there's nothing there. So we're putting the aprons in when we build the road.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Land.
not to interrupt, but I know we got a 505
Oh, I'm
public
sorry.
hearing.
I forgot all about
We
it.
can come back to, we can come back to any of this y'all want to talk about, but
Well, let's go ahead and, do I have a motion to approve item number 14?
so, it's your district.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'll make the motion, absolutely.
Motion by Commissioner Hale, second by Commissioner Land. All in favor, aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. All right, moving along to time-specific items at 5:05 or as soon thereafter as the matter can be heard, hold a public hearing to consider adoption of an ordinance pertaining to LDR 22-05, an application by Walter Lawson to amend the official zoning atlas of Suwannee County by changing the zoning designation on a described property from agricultural 1 to commercial highway interchange. Mr. Meeks, is anyone wishing to speak on this? If you are, we'll need to swear you in. I finally beat you to it, Mr. Attorney.
Yeah, that's okay. All right, I don't see anybody standing up for this one, so, Mr. Meeks, do you swear or affirm the testimony you give before the board this evening will be the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Chairman, board members, the application that you have before you for your approval tonight is a rezoning request to change the zoning designation from agricultural 1 to commercial highway interchange. The subject property is within the employment center land use classification. The subject site is a triangular shaped, approximately 25-acre tract. The site itself is intended to be developed as part of an economic development project and would be better suited to have all of the zoning classification to be the same on the overall parcel, which is approximately about a 78-acre piece of property. Previously, this property did receive a special exception approval for an RV parking campground. The owners of the property did not pursue that development. So a portion of the property is zoned commercial highway interchange, and a portion of the property is zoned agricultural 1. So we've looked at some preliminary layouts of some proposed sites of where a building could be situated. It's very close to whether maybe a corner or a portion of the building would encroach into that agricultural 1 zoning. Kind of while the current owner is willing to go ahead and pursue the zoning change, it would be better off in the long run to go ahead and clean that up prior to any closing or anything on the property. The application had previously went before the Planning and Zoning Board for their advisory decision at their November 17th meeting, and the recommendation was for approval to the Board of County Commissioners. You have in your packet a proposed ordinance for adoption for the proposed change. So if you don't have any questions of me, I'll answer them. If not, I would enter the file into the record at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Meeks. We'll take the file in as composite exhibit number 1.
Any questions of Mr. Meeks? Seeing none, I'll open the floor to public comment, and seeing nobody raise their hand, I guess nobody wanted to speak, so we'll close public comment. Is there any other board discussion on this matter? If not, do we have a motion to adopt the resolution?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Land,
Second.
second by Commissioner Hale. All in favor, aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Arnold.
Moving along to item number 15 in the consent agenda, authorization to bid preparation of leachate tanks to accommodate liner replacement, non-budgeted item to be funded from solid waste contingency. I think I circled that one by mistake.
No.
Anybody, did you bring that up?
Yes, sir,
Travis?
yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir.
Commissioner Land?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Harris, I just recall us, we had this in the budget at one point and we scratched it.
Actually, if I can explain, the liners are actually budgeted.
Okay.
What happened was we heard from some vendors that said, hey, we do the liners, but we don't do the prep. The prep is really scaling, rust, sandblasted maybe, and sealing they're steel tanks, but they've got plastic liner that goes in them.
Do you have any idea what that, I mean, have they gave you a ballpark?
I don't have any idea yet.
Okay.
I've just got to pull it out of what we've done is we put the bid on hold for the liners so that we can pull that out and then bid them separately.
Okay. No, those are my questions, Mr. Chairman. He clarified those.
Thank you.
I guess once the bids come in, you'll bring those back to the board so we can discuss
That's
prep, liners, budget, contingency.
Right.
Fair enough. I'm good with that.
Any other discussion on item 15? Seeing none, do I have a motion to approve?
So move.
Motion by Commissioner Land.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Perkins. All in favor, aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. Number 16, authorization to apply for a federal grant and/or a state appropriation request for construction on 184th Street. Mr. Harris, I just wanted you to speak on that for
Okay.
clarification. What we were
Okay.
doing there.
Several things that we've learned recently. Our staff and I had a conference call with, actually it was a Zoom meeting with DOT. We're having those quite regularly, but throughout that meeting it became abundantly clear that 184th Street is never going to get built based on the scoring system that DOT uses. They're not going to, they made it clear that they won't score a dirt to pave project as high as they will reconstruction of an existing paved road. So we had to start considering other alternatives. The easiest alternative is to apply for a state appropriations, make that request. It'll go through the regular session. We'd have to get sponsors in the House and Senate, which I think we can do. That's quite a time frame out yet. I had been tracking a federal grant opportunity, waiting for the actual announcement to come out, and it finally did. And we're waiting for additional information, but this is an opportunity for us to make a request of the federal government and it be sent directly to the county rather than through some other agency like a lot of these grants are being done today. In fact, some of these items associated with this are the additional agenda items. This is actually called the RAISE grant program, which is Rebuilding American Infrastructure with Sustainability and Equity. We'd be applying for that. We've already got the engineer's estimate probable cost. The notice that I received says that we'll hopefully get the application packet by December 14th, and it's due by February 28th. So we're going to be scrambling trying to put this together. The federal government allocated $1.5 billion for this purpose, and the good news is that they're splitting it half and half with urban areas. So $750 million will go to rural communities across America. The minimum award, this is a competitive grant, by the way, so we've got to make quite a pitch telling them why we deserve it more than some other community. It's a competitive grant. The minimum award to a rural community is $1 million and the maximum is $25 million. By contrast, the minimum award to an urban area is $5 million with a maximum of $25 million. So that's what we're considering. It's actually for infrastructure. We think 184th Street is an excellent candidate project. And in your additional items, I'm also going to be asking Columbia County, if the board agrees to let me do it, I'm going to ask them for a supporting resolution to go with our packet because it connects Suwannee County to Columbia County.
Did Liberty Partners, did you talk to them about applying for this grant, or Mike Grissom over at?
No, I've been tracking this online. This is a federal grant. Now, Mike wouldn't.
Yeah, he wouldn't have anything
In
involved.
fact, I don't
with
think
it.
Liberty Partners gets involved in federal grants either, I think is what they told us.
I think we got some representatives from Liberty here. I hear see
Oh,
him
yeah,
nodding
that's
his
right.
head.
They
like,
are here. Would y'all like to speak on this?
I don't remember your name, but I remember your face.
Yeah, name and address for the record, please.
Adam Potts, Liberty Partners of Tallahassee, 4093 Faulkner Lane, Tallahassee, Florida.
Hey, will you turn your microphone on the little button? There you go. There you go.
It's on now? Okay.
Yeah,
thanks.
Sorry. Adam Potts with Liberty Partners of Tallahassee, 4093 Faulkner Lane, Tallahassee, Florida. We can absolutely do this work. James Swinski's here. He's our Director of Grant Management and is very familiar with the program. And we can write this, and we're happy to work in coordination with Mike Grissom if there's any state appropriation needs.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. When did you say that had to be turned in, Mr. Harris? The federal part of it?
February 28.
What about the state appropriations?
We haven't even received the invitations yet. I think that should be coming out soon. I mean, they typically email those opportunities to us, and I haven't seen those yet. We've got the hard part of this stuff already put together. We've got the engineer's estimate of probable cost. I had them update that recently. It's just over $2.9 million. So it's a pretty big price tag. But we have the right-of-way. We'll have the engineer's estimate of probable cost, and it's probably an online application. I mean, if you want to have somebody else fill it out, that's fine, but we would typically do this.
Mr. Chairman, just a question. Mr. Pravat, have we acquired the right-of-way for that particular street or road?
No, sir, not yet. Been in contact with all of the owners, though. It's basically moving through in the next 4 to 6 weeks of, being able to finalize the acquisition. These are uncontested ones for a change.
Okay, how many do you have?
6.
And so that shouldn't hold us up.
Hopefully not, unless somebody changes their mind.
We have the survey.
That's
and
encouraging. There's no wind contested.
We've got the survey work, the legal descriptions, and the drawings that Mr. Pravat
Good deal.
needed for that purpose. That's, as you recall, Commissioner Land is what takes so long.
I'm well aware.
So we've got all of that. So I don't envision.
I was just kind of scratching my head on
Any
how the chairman's project got in front of mine so far.
I wasn't going to bring it up. Well, do we need to, Mr. Chairman? do we need
Blind
to
hog,
do
find
16?
acre every now and then.
Yeah.
Do we need to do 16 and 2 at the same time, or circle back to it? I mean, do we need to address both those?
Well, I think I want to, or my position on it is I'd like to hold that back for another meeting, and I'd like to talk to Liberty Partners some more on that, as well as Mr. Harris, before we go down that road.
Fair enough. Your road.
With that, I'll just,
What was
we'll
the
bring
time? I heard you ask the time. What was the deadline?
February
Yeah, okay.
2 point, Mr. Harris, that was 2 point?
2.9.
2.9.
2.9.
We're going to
It
need
started
some help.
at 2, didn't it? Now it's at 2.9. It's just the cost of inflation.
Yep.
So with that, we'll move on to item 18. Award bid and authorize county administrator to execute agreement with Doral Digital Reprographics in the amount of $3,835 for production of static clean decals. Mr. Land.
Yes, sir. I pulled 18 and 19 just for discussion. And I don't know about y'all, but I know we talked about it enough to know that before we do this, I just want to make sure that this is something all 5 of us really want to do, because I don't know about y'all, and I have a couple questions for Mr. Harris, but I think that at the end of the day, the decals were a really good idea. I mean, we had a lot of resistance from the community from it, but once they understood why we were doing it to try to reduce the tonnage that our county wasn't responsible for, most people appreciated it. But we have indirectly created a different problem. I've talked to Mr. Harris about it on a couple situations where folks now are, to avoid the confrontation, are just dumping it on the side of some of our rural roads, mostly dirt roads, all in District 3, I think.
No, they've been in District 5 too.
So I don't know, I don't really have a bone to pick or an item to specifically address. I just kind of wanted to talk about it before we agreed to go back down the decal road again. I mean, I think how much tonnage have we tracked to see how much tonnage we really did reduce? I don't know that answer. And then secondly, I don't know about you guys, but I've received the calls about, hey, you know, I can understand the decals, but now I'm having to go out to my timber track and pick up the garbage twice a week because, you know, these folks are dumping it on the side of the road, you know. And I don't know, you know, I'm not saying I'm not for the decals. Don't misunderstand me whatsoever. You know, I was on board with that. I still am on board with it, but I don't know if any of you guys get any other ideas, or maybe the sheriff's here. How can we police this? Can we try to help curb some of this illegal dumping that I think is an indirect problem we created with the decals?
I don't disagree with that.
I can speak.
However, I do think they are working.
I do.
So, I'm sorry, Mr. Harris.
Just a couple comments. We actually had people dumping illegally before we got the decals, and here's what we do. So if I get a call, I send someone out from solid waste to take a look at it. We call for a deputy to come out, and we go through the waste looking for the address and the name, and then the deputy goes and visits the owner and gives them 24 hours to get it cleaned up. We've even had participation from Game and Fish going out there. They found areas and went out, I mean, literally sat for hours to catch somebody and did. So where we find it and we find identification, we make them clean it up. But we were having the same problem years before we went to the decals. I mean, it has always happened. I mean, unfortunately, people are always someone's going to go out and dump stuff illegally.
I understand that.
Would that, Sheriff, are we writing anybody a $500 ticket on that yet?
Well, I have to just double check. I'm not sure on that one there. We may have, but what Mr. Harris was saying is what we do is just like you say, we'll go out there and we'll dig through the garbage, you know, and we don't always find an neighborhood address in there, you know, and if we do, then they will go to them and say, hey, you got a certain amount of time to come clean it up. Normally they do. If not, then we charge them littering. So we've done that in the past. And that's, you know, it's as far as actually seeing them, you know, dumping it, that's kind of far in between. But like Mr. Harris was saying, there's just been numerous times that we went there and found or looked at the garbage and found a name and address and addressed it that way. And normally once we go to the resident and say, hey, you know, this is your option, you know, they take option to clean it up versus going to jail or getting fined.
So I guess you have to see them in order to pretty much.
No, you don't necessarily have to see them. I mean, well, it's, okay, we can find a garbage hay with your name in it.
Yeah.
But your wife done it.
Right.
Well, we won't charge you. We have to prove that either you or your wife done it, you know. So even though we just find the name in there, we got to find that we actually dumped it there, you know. So that's why we normally just, hey, this is your option, and they won't normally take option to get it cleaned up versus, you know, one of the family members going to jail or getting fined on it.
Understood.
Understood. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Land.
we can move forward to decals. I wasn't pulling it for opposition. I was really just pulling it for discussion.
Have you got any tonnage feedback on, is that making any kind of difference?
We're tracking it. I mean, our plan is to ultimately take, when we've got a full year, and just take a look at it and say, okay, here's what's happened. But here's one thing that's happened. We know that we have turned people away from neighboring counties. We know that to be a fact. But another thing that we've done is, you take, for example, the city of Live Oak. I mean, a large percentage of people are paying to have their garbage picked up in the city, but they were driving to our collection sites, and they do not pay the assessment that the county residents pay. So when we went to the decal system, I mean, you'll see an uptick in the volume of waste coming from the city that's now being paid for, instead of being subsidized on the backs of the taxpayers in the county. So that has made a difference as well.
Mr. Chairman, I'd be curious to see those pre-decal tonnage, post-decal tonnage, you know. I don't know. on a 12-month. I don't have to be month to month, but I'd be curious to see what kind of effect that
We'll
has.
have it.
I mean, there's some variables in there that we can't measure. I get it.
But you can do a tonnage comparison versus last year, month to month.
That's
You should
right.
be able to see something.
That's right.
Mr. Chairman, I can say the one out on 51 there, as Mr. Harris was saying, since the city doesn't have, full access to it on Saturdays, I was having to get a truck to go out there quite often on a Saturday because by lunch they were full.
Yeah.
And I haven't had to do that since. And Mr. Mobley, in your district right there by the Suwannee Springs, that's where I go. I'm real close there. Dumping in your district, but but I would go there on Saturdays, and they'd be over on the other side working through by 2 o'clock, and there'd be maybe 4 or 5 cans not used. Well, now we don't even make it to the other side. We're still on one side. So I feel like it's working. I don't know when the numbers are, but I do feel like it's working. But the one thing I would say, I just want to make sure that whatever envelope goes out says, please do not discard, don't throw away, open this up, valuables inside, whatever we got to put on there.
We're doing an entirely different approach now.
Yeah.
They've got little glue dots on them, and they're going to be stuck to the letter.
Okay.
So if they see the letter, they're going to see the decals.
Okay.
It's just a different process because a large percentage of people throw them away before.
Learning curve.
I mean, I was almost guilty of it myself. I mean, it was in the trash pile list to go out, the shred pile, and called it. So, yeah, I was as guilty as anybody. So,
Is there any other discussion, or do I have a motion to approve item number 18?
I'll move to approve 18 and 19.
8.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Land, second by Commissioner Perkins. All in favor, aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. I think that concludes. Did I get all the consent done?
Yes.
Moving along to commissioner items. Are there any commissioner items?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Mobley.
people of Suwannee County, first and foremost, I want to thank each and every one of y'all for having confidence and allowing me to serve you at this capacity. Throughout my campaign, I had the opportunity to meet some of the finest people, not only in District 4, but all throughout Suwannee County. And during that time, there were a lot of concerns by the public regarding the current administration, which has led me to believe that Suwannee County is ready for and to move to a new direction. At this time, Mr. Chairman,
Yeah, it won't come on. Okay. The light's on, but it won't come on.
that's fine.
I'm sorry, Commissioner Mobley. I was trying to get you speaker to work.
I'd like to move that the agenda of this meeting be amended to add the following items to general business. 1, setting a special meeting to consider and possible act upon the county administrator's contract, including termination, and giving the county administrator written notice of the same. 2, placing the administrator on administrative leave effective immediately until further action by the board, and appointing an interim county administrator effective immediately until further action by the board. I have a copy of this if anybody wants any.
Yeah, if you got it, it'd be great.
Mr. Chairman.
If I get any, give it to Jim.
Did you finish what you wanted to do?
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Perkins. You got another one, Commissioner Mobley? Did you get one?
Mr. Chairman.
Just 1 second. Commissioner Perkins.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I too would like to thank the citizens of Suwannee County for allowing me this opportunity, and thank God for this opportunity to be able to serve this great community. I've learned a lot by watching you through all these meetings, but I'm just not prepared to vote on this. And like that we do move this, and I've met with a lot of people out there that was very favorable of Mr. Harris, and there are a lot of people that liked him and his work. And I'm seeing myself as a thing that I've been seeing since I've been sitting here watching him from that side of the podium. I move that we continue on. We're doing great things. I see that the county growth, and I think it's going to turn us and set us back by dismiss Mr. Harris and to put him on leave. Right now, we've got so many things going. We just talked about now surfing roads and doing other work here and writing these grants and get someone to take his place. And we're going to put the county in some debt to be able to hire administrator and a county work director. So I move that we don't entertain this.
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Land.
Mr. Chairman, as a point of order, we've got a motion by Mr. Mobley on the floor.
Yes, sir.
I think as a point of order, Commissioner Perkins' motion on top of the motion is out of order, so we hold that back. But we need to proceed with the initial motion, as I guess as it's stated here on the document.
So we have a motion on the floor.
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Land.
First off, I want to welcome both Commissioner Mobley and Commissioner Perkins to the board.
Thank you, sir.
I think you guys are going to be assets to us, bringing your own respective knowledge and talents to the board. With that being said, I understand and I respect Commissioner Perkins' comments, but I'm going to have to disagree with him on this one. And I've always said this, it's not my job to think for the people, it's my job to speak for the people. And my first 2 years, I've had a lot of folks asking me when and why we haven't made a change. And I'm going to speak for my people, and I'm going to second Mr. Mobley's motion.
So I have a motion by Commissioner Mobley to terminate Mr. Harris's contract.
Point of order again, Mr. Chairman.
Sorry.
I think it's not for a bit of termination here. We have three specific subparts to this particular motion as they're addressed here. So it would be, as part of the subpart, would be to set a special meeting to consider and possibly act upon county administrator's contract, including termination, and giving the county administrator written notice of the same. Second part of the motion, placing the county administrator on administrative leave effective immediately until further action by the board, and then appointment of an interim county administrator effective immediately until further action. That's what's on the floor.
Yes, sir. That's the motion I second.
Motion by Commissioner Land. Is there any further discussion?
Second by Commissioner Land.
I'm sorry, second by Commissioner Land. Is there any further discussion?
I've got a question, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Harris?
Good. I mean, this is clearly well choreographed. It's all outlined in here. But I've got a question. My question is, and maybe Mr. Mobley can answer this, or whoever wrote this for you can answer it. Question is, are you simply giving me notice because that's what the contract requires? Is that the purpose of that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's what I thought. Because if that's the only purpose, I don't have any problem waiving the notice requirement. I mean, if this board has decided that I need to be replaced and the votes are here to terminate my contract, then that's up to the Board of County Commissioners. Don't let that.
It was in the statute to give you the notice. That's why I put it.
Well, I didn't realize it was in the statute. I knew it was in the contract. But I don't have a problem waiving the notice requirement at all. Because I think the commissioners, particularly those who have worked with me, have done so long enough to know whether or not they're going to vote to keep me or terminate me.
Yes, sir.
I think that's a question for Mr. Pravat, whether or not that can be waived or not.
Yes, sir, it certainly can. any notice provision. The notice provision, though, only applies initially as a termination for cause. And you have to give a 5-day written notice of termination for cause. Otherwise, you move under the without cause provisions, and you set a particular date then for the termination. But that's how the two paragraphs read. This paragraph, if you're looking in if you happen to have a copy of the contract, if you look at paragraph number 7 and then paragraph number 8.
I don't have a copy of the contract.
No, sir. Not yet. But I will let you speak. I never disrespect Mr. Fleming, but I kind of set the rules when we started, and we're going to save all that comment for public comment. Thank you, sir. I will let you speak. Employer may terminate this agreement for cause at any regular or special board meeting of the employer. I'm just going to read this from his contract, just for the public. Employer may terminate this agreement for cause at any regular or special board meeting of the employer, provided that all members of the board or of employer and the county administrator have received written notice of such intention at least 5 days prior to such meeting. Such notice shall set forth the reasons why. This is pretty much just going into if we're terminating him for cause is the only reason you have to have the 5 days in his contract. So if it's for non-cause, then there is no waiting period. So we have a motion, we have a second. Is there any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, aye.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Chairman.
So, Mr. Pratt?
At the time right now, you made a motion and a second. This would be the opportunity before you make them move through on the vote to have that public comment that you had just indicated earlier.
Okay. Anyone wishing to speak? Mr. Fleming, come on now.
Clyde Fleming, 206 Lewis Avenue Southwest, 1245 393rd Road. I just want to, I didn't think that I would be up here saying these words tonight. But I was led through the Spirit that karma is something else, is a bad thing. I hope this board make the right decision in doing what you're supposed to do, doing what you need to do, not because of what some individuals are thinking or saying. I know what if it transpired here in my 12 years that I sat on this board. Yeah, I had individuals come to me and ask me, and I told them no, I stood on my own, and I meant what I said. But to say that things haven't been done right or good, I disagree with that. Disagree. This man has done a magnificent job. Saved this county tons of money that I know personally that have happened. But to each his own, I feel that this county would back up if this happened. I feel like there's some projects that's going on before I left the board last month that I know that this man has, and he stayed up all night, through the night, doing things. I've told him, Randy, you staying up too late. You should be getting your rest. But I don't know the individuals. Really doesn't matter. But the individuals, why I do know some, things that was said, and I've heard, and I've witnessed, but I stood flat-footed, and I would tell them no. I'm not in the firing business. Mr. Chairman, how many more minutes I got? Seconds. I'm not in the firing business.
Another minute.
Okay, but I don't feel like that this is right. I come to a meeting not to hear about a firing. I just don't feel within my soul, within my spirit, that you're making the right direction, that you're heading in the wrong direction of doing so. Not saying that you can't find someone, but you're looking at dollars of replacement. You're looking at the county as sinking if this happened. So I just want to say this, that I don't think we're heading in the right direction. Commissioner Land, I don't feel like you're heading in the right direction. I could be wrong. You're going to be my commissioner. I don't feel like we're heading in the right direction. Commissioner Perkins is my commissioner right now. But a few more years, I'll be getting out of the district, this District 2, but I don't think we're heading in the right direction tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Fleming.
Thank you,
Appreciate your comments.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Perkins.
I too like to say this is that Mr. Harris is, well, I'll say it this way. I'm not seeing any reason, I'm not giving any reason to vote to fire Mr. Harris. You know, I don't see a reason given other than hearing from that the public don't like him or someone there, but those people not here. No one has stepped up to say that they don't like Mr. Harris, but and I don't want to be the one to be there and speak for that person that who showing to me that's not willing to come and say to their own self why they don't like him or why he should be fired. But I will say this is that sitting out there for the few years I've been sitting here contemplating on running for office, and I've seen the work Mr. Harris has done to be able to bring in grant writing, and we just first talked about paving roads, which they hadn't been doing until upon his leadership. And I've been out there to the garbage site out there, actually the landfill, and to see that cleaned up, see the work he's doing there for the sheriff department building, and they are going to be a nice state-of-the-art gun facility, firing range for them. Seeing a lot of things that are being cleaned up here and around the county and things that we're having, and then to hire somebody else to be able to take those two positions. You know, right now, I know we're going to be paying over $100,000 per person to hire two people. We're not paying that money to him. I've spoke to him at length the other day before leaving to go down to St. Pete for the conference. And in fact, I was a little bit late leaving because I was talking with him. He's willing to sit there and listen, talk. I don't see where he rebuttal against anyone. When you ask him something, he's ready to give you an answer or to do whatever you need to do. Yes, I see that he produced those plans, and I'm a building and plumbing contractor. I know it takes time to draw those plans. I know he couldn't do those things sitting in his office, so he had to do those things at home. And I feel like that he do put a lot of time in this, not only just on the job here for those hours here on the job, but he's also committed to be outside the job and work. I just don't see that, that to be able to cancel or terminate a man that's doing over and above what we ask him to do. And I know people don't like you. People don't like me, don't like you. They know people going to be that way. That's people. But for the most part, with his service to this county, what I'm concerned about is service to the county. I can care less about Mr. Harris, what he wear, what he look like, what he do. But as long as he do the work to be able to keep this county afloat and to work with this board, I'm all for it.
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Malva.
I'm not up here to say nothing bad about Mr. Harris as well. He's been respectful to me. But like I said, when I was running, I ran and people voted me in 68% to be a voice for District 4 and a lot of people throughout the Suwannee County. And I feel like I got to be a man of my word. People, that's the question that come up. But to say something bad about Mr. Harris, I can't. He's tried to help me and he's been respectful to me. But also, I got to respect my constituents and honor what I said. That's what I'm doing.
Understood, Commissioner Lane.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Pravat.
Yes, sir.
Before the Point of order question, before this turns into a 2-hour discussion, could I call the question as a point of order?
At this point, you certainly can.
Mr. Chairman, I call the question.
And a call question requires, in this situation with folks that are a board that's less than 12 members, that you have to have a 2/3 majority to be able to call the question. That means effectively 4 to 1 have to vote to end discussion at this particular time, so then you can proceed to vote.
So 4 to 1 or?
Discussion continues.
Discussion continues.
Well, then I'll let discussion continue. Yes, sir, that's fine. I won't put everybody out.
Mr. Wainwright, name and address for the record, please.
Wesley Wainwright, 16672 129th Road, McAlpin. Thank you for your parliamentary prowess. I was hoping that we wouldn't have to go to questions, so we'd eliminate discussion. It deserves an opportunity for the commitment that Mr. Harris has made and this board has made over the years. It deserves a 2-hour discussion if that's what the direction it wants to go. I've sat in meetings for a whole lot longer than that, and I know you have too. Fellas, I've been in business for a number of years, my own business, and more in the last few years, the old adage of it doesn't surprise me. You know, nothing surprises me. I've added another line to that, but it does disappoint me. I'll indicate to you right now my great disappointment. And and I understand the discussion. Mr. Mobley, I understand where you're coming from. I don't have any problem with that. But it comes from a lack of knowledge from individuals and as board members. Anybody who's willing to be honest can step up and, in defense of Mr. Harris, share a multitude of things that he's done to help this county. I would press you hard to try to demonstrate to me anywhere we've gone backwards. Now, I know with growth, there's always change. Those things go hand in hand. I understand that. But as I indicated to my commissioner several years ago, I wish you'd go ahead and hire one now. Because when you come down to the point where you've got to get rid of, where you've made up your mind to get rid of Mr. Harris, you're going to be hiring two. It's going to take you at least 6 months, if not longer, to find somebody. The good ones are already working. Then it's going to get them another year to get settled in and catch up to speed with what's already going on. And I know that y'all are very well aware of what's going on and can step in and do a lot of things to help bridge that gap. But you can't deny that there's going to be missed opportunities. Mr. Harris has been here for 12 years now? Okay. When I came on the board in 2008, I won't say that the county was in bad shape, but we didn't have money to do anything. There was no, you have discussions tonight about paving this road or doing this road, hiring this person, let's get this consultant. And all those things come with progress. But gentlemen, thankfully, we've had good boards along these years, along with a good administrator that's helped facilitate that opportunity. When I was on the board, the economy was in terrible shape, just like it's getting again. We had a freeze. We weren't hiring anybody. We held jobs. We didn't hire anybody. We didn't spend no money because we didn't have any money to spend. And any business opportunity that came along was really rare. And we handled it with kid gloves to try to hope that we didn't miss that opportunity. You've got an individual that knows how to work with development. And I would encourage you to rethink. And again, I understand your position, Mr. Mobley, I do. But I dare say 68% of that constituency, I doubt that full 68% knows the workings of everything that's going on in here. And in a few months, you're going to have your feet on the ground and you'll get a pretty good grasp of what's going on, and you'll realize the contribution this individual has made and is continuing to make without question. He doesn't make any question about the hours he puts in, the level of devotion that he puts into it. There's no question. You can call him anytime. He'll work 24 hours straight if that's the case, just like I'm sure that you do with your own businesses. You all are accomplished businessmen. You have an opportunity now, rather than demonstrating your authority, you have an opportunity to demonstrate your leadership ability. You've got an opportunity to show people that if you've got an individual that you want to tailor and bring into your way of thinking and what you want to do, it's better to do that than to cut it off and start all over again and search for that individual that you're going to end up trying to teach them and train them to do what you want to do anyway. You've already got that person in-house. Work with him and show him what you want done and how you want it done. If you want him to be, well, listen, when we hired him, we didn't hire him to be a politician. We didn't hire him to be a go out there.
I don't want to be rude.
I know my time.
Your time's up.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. Gentlemen, I hope you put some more thought into this.
Thank you.
Don Wainwright, 7173 61st Drive. To say I'm disappointed is an understatement. Say I'm surprised, I'm not. But what I have seen, I remember this county being in disarray, just like the city. Have no money for nothing. Have no functioning departments. I can't think of a department that's not functioning right now. Is he popular, Leo? Probably not. Is he doing his job? Heck yeah, he is. And the thing about it is if you're always liked and always everybody loves you, you're doing something wrong, because you can be in disarray like the city right now, and because everybody's liked there, but nobody gets no jobs done, nobody brings no growth, nobody gets no permits. We have so much coming to Suwannee County right now that this man's helped bring. How long has interstate been just sitting idle out there in Welborn? That's in your district, Leo. That man's the reason we got sewer and water, not nobody else. That man that's going to bring millions of dollars to our county of growth out there, jobs. So when y'all sit here and say you fulfilling a promise, what about the business people out here that's at home right now because they worked all day and they ain't got time to sit in these meetings? What about the jobs that y'all promised to other people behind the scenes to facilitate this? Did we realize that you're going to pay this man $60,000 to leave, to do no work? So I see the arrogance in it. That, well, we're going to do this regardless. We don't care about what the consequences are. I'm telling you, this man is going to be terribly hard to replace. Now, I'm not worried about stepping on your toes tonight, because I think you're making a great mistake. I've told Franklin this personally. I think if you think that you're doing this as a promise, I think you'll set this county back 10 years. At a minimum, with all the things that we got coming. And I'm a person who is out here in the public every day trying to bring jobs, trying to bring growth, and bringing jobs. I know what it's like to fight against the government, and I know what it's like to have a functioning government that you can walk into the building and zoning and actually get some answers for the people that's wanting to come. That's because of leadership. It's not because of a popularity contest. I know that y'all were not going to reconsider, but I give you my word today. Y'all were making one of the gravest mistakes, and you can smile, Travis, if you like. I think you're making one of the most arrogant, gravest mistakes that you've ever done. Mr. Harris, I would like to personally thank you for what you've done to Suwannee County, the service you provided. The chip seal that y'all was talking about tonight had never been heard of before Mr. Harris brought it to this town. I can remember, and Don Hale and everybody else can, when we couldn't pave a road, and now y'all joke and laugh and back and forth, well, who's going to get this and who's going to do that? I can remember not having any of that, not garbage services not running. Y'all are doing a disservice to this county because it's personal. Mr. Harris, I want you to know that me, as a businessman, and the community appreciate your service and feel like they're making a grave mistake tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Schoen?
Yeah. My name is John Schoen. I go by Jack, 7311 180th Street, McAlpin. A couple of these gentlemen before me, interesting comments. Pretty passionate about it. But last one, Mr. Wainwright mentioned, the people at work. Well, those people spoke. Mr. Motley had 68% votes. So obviously somebody has spoken. They may not be here tonight. I'm going to speak on behalf of myself in that district and say I think it's right. I helped Mr. Mobley out there campaign, and I heard a lot of people wanting a change. You guys say that, you don't see it, but a lot of people, we knocked on doors, that was their first agenda. So say Mr. Mobley may have his own agenda or Mr. Land is laughing about it, I can tell you first thing, there were a lot of people who want to change in this county. So you may not think so, but there are.
Thank you, Mr. Shaw. Anybody else wishing to speak on this?
Before he gets up, Mr. Chairman, can I say a word?
Yes, sir. Mr. Hale.
I wasn't going to say anything. I had heard that this was going to be a topic of discussion this evening, and I try to keep my nose in District 1 and the people of District 1. And like most of you, when I ran 6 years ago, I heard a lot about the same thing. I heard it from employees as well, that there were just certain things about Mr. Harris they didn't care for. But I didn't make no promises. I told him I didn't know the man. I need to have the opportunity to work with him, find out what he was about, if he was a benefit to the community, because at the end of the day, that's what it's supposed to be about. He answers to us, the 5 of us, and if we can't control that, then the blame lays on us. But I feel like we are in a better place 6 years later. I feel like that's because of a lot of board decisions, a lot of hard things that we've hammered out, and you guys have been part of that. But obviously his knowledge and his know-how, and I'm not here to defend him at all. I wasn't going to say anything, but I just feel like the people of District 1 deserve me to at least voice my opinion, because we are in a better place. District 1's in a better place. We have better things going on in this community as a whole. And a lot of the growth that's happening in Suwannee County, I'd say 90% of it's in District 1. It's just, what we do, and a lot of that comes from y'all's help and the decisions we make to communicate and negotiate with these companies. And the only thing I would encourage is, yes, we hear a lot of things out there. I heard them too, but I didn't make no promises. I didn't make no commitments. I waited till I got here to see how we as a board could handle our problems. And Mr. Harris being one of those when I came on the board. I didn't hear it as much when I ran the second go around, I'll be honest. I was able to communicate with some of those folks that had some concerns before, and they actually had time to sit down and communicate with him as well. I think if some of the employees were here, department heads, not all love him, some still hate him. I hear that too, but I understand you guys are going to do what has to be done in your minds and for your districts, but the dynamics of our districts are somewhat different. Different businesses, different people, different organizations and all. So I just would challenge you guys to think about it, not necessarily make a decision, but I can't tell you what to do. Everyone's got an opinion. They're going to get up here and speak to it tonight, and I just want us to do what's right for this community, guys. That's what it's all about. We are here to advance our community, to advance the livelihood of the people that live here. And however we as a board see fit to do that, I'm still going to be, I want to be part of it. It's difficult. We all know this. And we'll navigate through it. I know we will, regardless of the outcome. Because, like someone said earlier, we have a lot of smart guys up here. We really do. So, but I just want to say that. I mean, nothing really.
Mr. Hannigan.
Wayne Hannigan, 11883 93rd Road. Thank you, Wayne Rice. I think you're right on point. I think you're making a really bad decision tonight. I think it's going to set our county backwards. It's going to take that time. And it's going to take 2 people to fill Mr. Harris' job. Every time I've been to him, he's been extremely professional. He's given me what I've looked for. He spent more time with me than I ever thought I deserved as a citizen. I just ask that you make your decision as a business decision, not as a personal decision. We don't all have to like each other to do the best thing for this county. And that's the only thing I'm really here about. Yes, Mr. Mobley, I do live in your district, and I disagree with you tonight, but that's okay.
You're entitled to that opinion.
I would ask you to consider, search deep in your hearts, and do what's the right thing for this county. I'll pray for you all.
Thank you, Mr. Hanica. Anybody else want to speak?
I just have one more question.
Yes, Mr. Shawn.
I'm sorry?
One time to the podium, Mr. Shawn. I'm going to go ahead and speak up, and I'm going to say something. Mr. Harris, I want to tell you I do appreciate what you've done for this county. It doesn't go unnoticed. I've had discussions with you, and I've told you my reasons for the way I think, and I think I was pretty clear about it. I told you I hadn't made a decision at that time, and that was true. I hadn't. But I'm not going to go into all the details, and I'm not going to drag this out for a very long time. I've got my reasons for what I'm going to do, and I'm just going to leave it at that. Mr. Klepper.
Yeah, Moses Klepper, 14581 102nd Path, Live Oak. I probably have said most everything that I'll say here. I don't know Mr. Harris. I will say that I started coming to board meetings because of the issue out at the new fire station proposed out, well, it's happening. And so I started digging the stuff I was hearing. You know, I'm new to the county, and I got real concerned. I'm still real concerned. I personally believe I've observed almost every county board meeting since I've been coming here, probably about 2 years now. And I personally believe Mr. Harris is extremely capable and knowledgeable at his job, okay? Unfortunately, though, I've observed for my satisfaction that I don't believe personally, and I don't want this to be personal, but I've considered if I was up there or if it was my personal business that he was running, you know? And one thing, we all make mistakes. In fact, I come up, and I'm retired, but I come up working under some pretty decent employers, and I was told one time I messed up pretty bad, and he said, "Well, it's okay. Did you learn from it? You know, if you don't make mistakes, you're not doing anything. You know." So I don't hold Mr. Harris to blame for making mistakes, but I haven't seen remorse. I haven't seen acknowledgement of error, doing wrong, you know, or making those mistakes. Those are very concerning to me. The three big things that got my attention, and is still a cog in my side, is the fire station thing. I'm dissatisfied with that. I think and he's not alone responsible for that. But then there was that $750,000 equipment purchase a year or so ago, where the best I could understand, the big package was construed in a way that there was only one possible company, Ring Power, that could provide according to the requirements of the bid package. Mr. Faust came here and told us he couldn't do it because he'd have to go up to the next tractor or whatever, and it's 300 if it had been broken down. So anyway, that was something I didn't see corrected. And then, of course, the big thing was the waste issue, you know. I know I've spoken to the director out there myself. Mr. Harris had an appointment to meet out there and see if we could get at Osceola in Greenville, and he didn't show up, you know. And then they rescheduled, and he stood that up too, according to the director out there. Those, and that's cost us, I know my time's up.
Yes,
anyway,
sir.
I too heard a lot that a new direction is needed. I'm disappointed that Mr. Harris didn't do some things to prevent this from happening. That's where I'm at.
Thank you, Mr. Klepper. Anyone else wishing to speak? Seeing none, we have the motion and a second by Commissioner Land. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. 3-2. To setting a special meeting to consider and possibly act upon the county administrator's contract, including termination, and giving the county administrator written notice of the same. So, Mr. Pravat, do we need to set a meeting for that?
Yes, sir. Time-wise.
I'll make the motion.
For when? You got to set a time.
Could we do
Special
that
meeting.
before that next meeting, the next special meeting?
Well, it's up to
We
the
got a-
board at this point.
We have a workshop on the 13th.
Before the workshop.
Right?
Yes. It's next Tuesday, right?
The 13th. Yes, sir, at 5 o'clock.
So let's set this for 4 o'clock. Is that good with you, Mr. Hale?
I'm good with that. Yes, sir.
Special meeting be set for Tuesday. What's the date on that?
13th.
13th at 4 o'clock. Item number 2 that Mr.
On the second page, item number 2.
Here at the annex.
Excuse me.
Here at the annex.
Yes. Mr. Pravat, you
Yes,
got
sir.
a copy of this. Do we need to be placing the county administrator on administrative leave effective immediately until further action by the board? That's the second part of it, was it not?
And that's what that means. Now, if you're going to have other terms or anything that you wish to deal with, it would require additional action. I mean, otherwise, at this particular point, I would be, I assume you want me to write the letter, unless you
sir.
want to write it.
No, sir. I'd be good
Advising
with
of the particular, time period, for that meeting. Although he's here, he knows when it is, but I can get that to him. And as for item number 3, it also will require separate action tonight if you want to move forward with this. Now, I note that, it's a special meeting to consider in item number 1. So, and potentially appoint somebody in item number 3. So I think because you have an intent or an idea, stressed there, I don't believe that it's appropriate at this particular point in time to act on item number 3 until item number 1 is actually settled at the next meeting, or at the special meeting set.
Understood.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Land.
I have a question for Mr. Pravat, just so that I'm clear. The special called meeting on this item number 1, is that necessary because that is how his contract is written?
No, sir, it is not. The special meeting was moved by Mr. Mobley in that fashion. Mr. Harris had indicated that he was willing to waive time periods as a result, but there was no change or addition to the motion that was made by Mr. Mobley. So he moved forward, and that's what's on the table right now, is procedural.
That's where I was going with that, is if he was waiving that and did not want to do the special call or waived his, whatever that line item was in his contract. I don't have his contract. If the special call is necessary. I don't know that statutory or legal question.
No,
to
sir,
answer that.
it can happen at any regular or special meeting. That's where that language comes in, but it's not required.
Mr. Chairman,
I'm sorry, Mr. Harris.
can I comment, please?
Yes, sir.
Listen, I'm a I'm a real practical kind of guy. I'm telling you, I'm convinced that all of you made your minds up sometime back, okay? Everybody in the community has heard all the scuttlebutt about Harris is going to be fired as soon as Mr. Mobley gets in office and has time to make a motion. And I'm not being disrespectful to you. I mean, everybody in the world's heard it, okay? So I wouldn't dispute that. But you don't have to give me notice to do something that you're going to do. I mean, we're all here. If you want to go ahead and vote to terminate my contract or something of that nature, I'm okay with that. You don't have to give me 5 days notice or 10 days notice or 2 weeks, even though the contract reads that way. That was the reason that I said what I did about waiving it. I enjoy working here. We've got a tremendous amount done since I've been here. There's no disputing that. I think clearly the progress that we've made speaks for itself, and I'm not going to go down the whole list of things because it's all well documented in the record. But if the commission thinks that I need to be replaced with someone else, then go ahead and put the motion on the floor and do it tonight. You don't have to wait for a special meeting. I mean, you can go ahead and do this. If a majority of you wants me to stay here, then I'll stay here and we'll just keep on working. But if you think that somebody can do my job better than I can, I'm okay with that.
So with that being said, do we want to leave the motion the same, or do we want a motion to, do we have to rescind that motion if you change it?
No, sir. You can, by making an additional motion, you would change it.
So that's where we are, gentlemen.
So we can make the motion to go ahead and terminate his contract immediately?
Yes.
That's the motion I'll be making, Mr. Chairman.
Motion by Commissioner Mobley to terminate Mr. Harris's contract immediately. Do I have a second?
Mr. Chairman, with Mr. Harris's consent of waiving his right in his contract to the 5 day, 7 day, I don't remember what it was. I don't have that.
5 days.
I would move to second.
Motion by Commissioner Mobley, second by Commissioner Land. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Aye. 3-2, 3-4, 2 against. Motion carries. With that being said, we'll move on to item number 3 on Mr. Mobley's set of motions here. Appointment of an interim county administrator effective immediately until further action by the board.
I'd like to make a motion that Mr. Greg Scott be appointed acting county administrator until further action by the board.
Is there any discussion? Mr. Scott, are you here? Do you wish to speak that you're okay with this?
It's a pleasure of the commission. Been serving for 34 years. I'll do whatever you need me to do. And again, for the citizens and everybody, that's what we're here to serve.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. That's all I need. Does anybody have anybody else they've got in mind, or is Mr. Scott a good choice to all of them?
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Perkins.
what would the duty Mr. Scott has with all that he has going on? Just wouldn't that be too much for him to be taken on to do Parks and Recs and to be as the county administrator?
I'll let him speak to that, Mr. Perkins.
I'm in the drop program. I've been working on a succession plan for years. Parks and airports are fine. As long as you need me to be the administrator, interim administrator, I'm not looking for another job, but certainly can handle that. I've got people that can handle other things, so I'll do whatever this board needs me to do.
Does that answer your question, Mr. Perkins? Thank you, Mr. Scott. So we have a motion to appoint Mr. Greg Scott as interim county administrator effective immediately. Do I have a second?
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Land.
first off, I'd like to thank Mr. Scott for stepping up on short notice. Mr. Scott has done an exceptional job for I don't know how many years, but I was playing T-ball. Mr. Scott was there. And I think Mr. Scott has done an outstanding job with the rec board and what he does. I believe that he has a predecessor that has been with him a very long time, that is a very capable gentleman of keeping that train on the tracks, and Mr. Fury. With that being said, I would move to second Commissioner Mobley's motion by making Mr. Scott the acting administrator.
I have a motion by Commissioner Mobley, a second by Commissioner Land. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. Mr. Scott, welcome to your new quarters. With that being said, is there anything else, Mr. Ravat? Is that pretty much covered?
I'm not sure what else is up the sleeve here on the paper here, so.
Sir?
I think we're, as far as that item of business.
That's done.
Moving on.
With that being said, we had some general business items here to discuss. Item 23, discuss with possible board action surplus property located on 173rd Place. And item number 24, discuss with possible board action road projects by Mr. Harris. At this point, I would like to just bring those back in light of what's happened tonight, I'd like to just bring those back at a different meeting. Is the board good with that?
I'm okay.
Consensus on that?
I'm okay with that. It's nothing time pressing, it doesn't look like.
Okay, hang on a second, Mr. Chairman. Let me check the numbers here. I lost the third page. See yours on it. For this one.
Mr. Chairman, I don't mind handling these if you want to just take care of them. They're not complicated.
No, I mean, if either or, it doesn't matter. I'm good.
All right. If you want to handle 23, because you still have some additional items as well.
Yeah, I forgot about those.
Number 23 is a piece of property that we had a contract on it before, but the title needed to be cleaned up, and that has finally occurred. Mr. Prevett, we're on 23.
Got it. Thank you.
That finally occurred, so what the real estate company is saying is that we should go ahead and increase the price on that because the market is higher. So you've got some comps in here. I think they're recommending that we they've given you some ideas and some comps in here. And you just need to set a price.
I think what the general recommendation has been to raise the bottom price on this from $75,000 to $125,000.
The previous offer was $125,143. That's the people that backed out because it was going to take some time to clean the title on it.
So, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Land.
Mr. Pravat.
Yes, sir.
So I still get a little confused sometimes on that process we established on these. So we would need to, one, increase the price and offer a motion to surplus it now that the titles. You need two things. You need a new price and you need a surplus.
It was already surplus.
It's already surplus.
So you just need a motion to increase the price?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Land.
Last offer is 125?
125, 143.
Mr. Chairman, I would move to increase the price to $126,000.
Motion by Commissioner Land to raise the price on the surplus property to $126,000. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Hale. All in favor, aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. Item number 24, discuss with possible board action road projects. Mr. Harris.
Okay, this list, it's time for us to submit projects to DOT again, and you need to prioritize them. I think you probably, these are the same roads we've discussed before, but if you look at the top 3 sections of that list that's been provided, and by the way, that did not come from DOT, we put this together. It shows you the projects that are currently awarded and are being worked on, engineering and surveying, et cetera. You've got some that have been adopted, Mitchell Road and the additional lanes on 129 near I-10. You've got some that are programmed. Commissioner Land, that's where your one section of County Road 250 is, and then County Road 137, if you recall, is the project they asked us to change to our #1 priority because it scored higher than 184th. So we're waiting for those to be adopted. Those are currently programmed, though. But the last section, you have 4 roads listed there. One of those is 184th. I don't believe that that project is ever going to score high enough with DOT, so that leaves you with County Road 49, the section between 252 and 208 to the south. That still needs to be done. The portion from 252 to US 90 is already being awarded. So you've got County Road 49, you've got County Road 136 from 105th to just east of Hogan Road. That's a carryover from years ago when they did the first piece of 136 and they started at I-75 and worked their way back toward town until we ran out of money. And then you've got the balance of County Road 250 from the bridge to 193rd Road. So really it's those 3 projects that y'all need to prioritize, and they could be resubmitted to DOT for consideration for next year. $136 probably is not the most pressing. It isn't in as bad a shape as County Road 250. County Road 49 is very important. As you know, it's widened from that point in here to the south. And the new section from 252 north to US 90 will be wider as well. So this will be the last piece of County Road 49, what's listed on there.
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Land.
Mr. Harris, you're asking us to, the bottom, for everybody, 1, 2, 3. The bottom box, the 4th box, you're asking us tonight to prioritize those 1 through 4?
That's correct. 1 through 3, I don't think you should even, 184th's on there because it was on there before, but that's the one that they flat out rejected because it was a dirt to pave. So I would concentrate on the other 3 and then just prioritize those for submission to DOT.
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Land.
I'm just going to make a comment. I think that with what we've learned about 184th, being a dirt to pave, and the likelihood of DOT not scoring that as high as these resurfacing and reconstruction, widening, what have you roads that are pre-existing paved road, I think that whether it be staff or our friends there at Liberty, partners, I think that that's the route we're headed, is trying to get some type of special grant or something outside of DOT to try to get that done. I'm in 100% support of that. That is a connector road to Columbia County. It dead ends at the county line for some of the constituents here that may not be familiar with that area. It's not in my district. I think it's in Commissioner Chairman's
It
district.
actually splits mine and Mr. Mobley's district.
Okay, so it's in you guys' district, but that's a connector road to a very nice paved road there in Columbia County, in 242, I believe. But so that leaves the other 3 remaining to submit for DOT funds. Guys, I'm not going to fight about what order 250 goes on. I want to see the second half get programmed for some funding to get the second half paved? Absolutely. Am I going to worry about if it's number 1, number 2, or number 3? It doesn't matter to me, honestly. So you can leave 250 at 3, you can put it at 1. Guys, that makes no difference to me, because what I have found is at the end of the day, DOT's going to pick what road they want to pick. And if it's not our top 1 or 2, they may ask us to rescore it, just like they did with 184th. So,
Well, I'd like to see, and I'm good with we can leave the 184th off. I have been to bat for that thing a lot, and I've pretty much got told no every time, so I'm not going to beleaguer the point on that. So that's fine. I'd like to see County Road 49 finished if possible first, and then if you want to put 250 on second, I would be good with that.
it doesn't matter, honestly. I'm good with all 3 of those roads. They all 3 need it.
Any comments on that?
That's fine.
The
I
leak,
think
though,
he said
is all
it
about the
started
same.
90, 49 and 90 and goes south, I think.
Well, there's 2 parts that's already approved, is not, Mr. Harris?
Yes. Coming up soon will be the reconstruction and widening of 49 from 252 up to US 90. In fact, the design work will be under contract very soon, and we're going to follow up after that with the construction. But this is a section that otherwise gets left out. No one had anticipated years ago that it would take 3 phases of this, but this is a piece, that 49 reconstruction started on the south end, and it was anticipated originally that it would go all the way to 252, but there wasn't enough money there. 5 years later, when the contract showed up and the money, there wasn't enough money. So that's why there's a balance here that still needs to be done from 252 south.
So is the consensus of the board to finish 49, put 250 on second? What was the third?
136.
136.
I'm fine with that.
Do 136 third?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll share this with Mr. Scott tomorrow.
I'm fine with that.
Additional agenda items. Item number 1, authorization to execute DEP consent order and payment of $88,945 associated with County Road 136 water treatment plant.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, this is actually there's a fine that's being charged against this water plant, but we've been working on this, and Mr. Pravat's been working on it. And I won't go through all of it, but there was a letter sent that said that we had complete clearance on that water plant, so we put it in service, and then later we received notice that it wasn't completely cleared. But in any event, if you make a motion, we have to sign this consent order and send it on back, and they're expecting payment. But if you make a motion to do so, I would say up to $8,945, because we're going to continue to work with them. It started out at $16,000, and we're still working to try to get it reduced.
What's it for? Right.
Because the water was put into service prior to the time that they said it should have been, albeit they sent us a letter that said total clearance. And we wrangled back and forth about that. There were 3 or 4 things, actually. That's one of them. Another one was they said some testing of some of the compounds in a quarterly report had not been done, and we're dealing with, Mr. Pravat's been dealing with ESI, the company that handles that testing. So it's going to have to be paid before the end of December, but we're going to try to continue to get it lowered. prior to that payment.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Land.
can we got till the end of December. There's no backup information in here. There's just an additional agenda item. Could we table this particular item until our next regular scheduled meeting, which will be the second or the third Tuesday, and give myself a little bit of time to read some of this backup documentation before authorizing approval to pay this? I think we got time.
How long would it, if we wait till the next regular scheduled board meeting, will there be enough time to pay the fine if we need to?
They're expecting us to sign the consent order now. That
When you say consent,
that needs to be done now.
The consent order needs to be signed now?
That needs to be signed now. And then if you want to make payment later, you can make the payment. But we haven't disputed that the testing that they said that did not occur, to my knowledge, did not occur.
Did not occur.
Yeah. But we're dealing with whatever resolution we come up with the contractor, ESI, we will resolve, and if they pay something toward this, that's great. That's why I say the up to $89.45 is the amount that had been reduced by DEP from $16,000. That much we know. It's been reduced now to $89.45 from $16,000. And we're going to be dealing with the contractor, see if some part of this is going to be paid by them.
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Land.
There again, this is the first I've heard of this, and I'm a little confused on, one, who's responsible for this fine? Two, who put the water, I guess, in service and where the confusion occurred where DEP said, yeah, you can do it, and then no, you weren't supposed to do it yet, and you got to pay $16,000 fine. So with just one sentence here to authorize that, with first time seeing this, I'm just not comfortable making a decision to try to figure out, not that placing blame is going to fix anything, but I mean, I got one sentence here to authorize the county to pay $9,000 on the consent of a mess up that somebody did. It could have been us, and if it did, then we're pointing up. But I have no idea who or what or why or when on this particular item. So I would move that we table this until the next regular scheduled board meeting, and if we need to overnight a check, we can authorization to spend those funds to overnight it.
Is that the consensus of the board to table this till the next regular scheduled meeting, or?
I'm all right with that.
We'll bring it back.
Actually, you could actually bring that information to that 13th meeting if you wanted to.
Yeah.
Get to the. Well, we couldn't act on it on a workshop, though.
That's true. Well,
we got a special call meeting before. No, we did away with that.
We did away with it. We canceled the meeting.
Gotcha.
So it'd be the third.
Gotcha.
Third Tuesday.
Yep.
Whichever that date is.
Item number 2, adoption of a resolution authorizing chairman or county administrator to apply for and administer a raised grant application for funds to construct 184th Street and sign all associated documents. And I think that was in the regular part of this, and I pulled it off till the next meeting, so I'm going to stand with that, if that's okay with the board.
Yes, sir.
Item number 3, authorization to request a resolution, for which this again goes to the same thing. Authorization to request a resolution from Columbia County which supports Suwannee County's grant application for funding to construct 184th Street. Same thing there.
Mr. Chairman, you might want to consider going ahead and doing
the resolution,
making that request and sending it, because you don't know their timelines for taking action on that, and it needs to get back to you in time to put with the package.
True.
In fact, we've already drafted a resolution for them to consider, but if you do nothing else, I would suggest that you go ahead and do that so they've got time to deal with it over there in Columbia County.
Do you need a motion for that?
Yes, sir.
Do I have a motion to authorize request a resolution from Columbia County to support Suwannee County's grant application for funding to construct 184th Street?
So move. Second.
Motion by Commissioner Hale, second by Commissioner Land. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Public concerns and comments. Anyone wishing to speak? Just, both of you can come up, he can speak, and then you can speak after him, however you want to do it. Mr. Ford?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. My name is Robert Ford, 8896 135th Loop. In light of what has conspired this evening, I'm kind of out of focus on what I wanted to talk about, something very light and what the community needs, to kind of turn the subject on what has conspired this evening. I'm here to, on behalf of the Heritage Park and Gardens Board and this chairman, Ms. Julie Ulmer, I'm here this evening to promote the Christmas at Heritage Park, which will happen this Saturday, December the 10th, between 10 and 2 p.m. at Heritage Park. First of all, I'd like to, on behalf of the board, I'd like to thank the board for all the support that you all have given the Heritage Park, and it is a beautiful facility out there, and it would not be as beautiful as it is without the support of the board. And one of the hallmark functions that goes on at Heritage Park is Christmas at Heritage Park. It has been canceled the last couple of years because of COVID, but this year it is back on, and I think it's going to be bigger and better. After we've had a beautiful Christmas on the Square this past weekend, we could take that same spirit out to Heritage Park on this Saturday and participate at Christmas at Heritage Park. The admission will be free. It's going to be a lot of activities for youth and adults alike. Please come out. You have seen these posters around town and around storefronts and every corner that you pass. So if you would just pass the word and please come out and support this activities, especially bring your kids out. It's going to be, Santa. You could take photos with Santa. You're going to have, we got train rides, pony rides, bounce houses, face paintings, and all those activities. And again, before Saturday, if you're out on Halveston Street, please drive through Heritage Park. You got that circle in there. It is lit up out there and got the beautiful Christmas lights, and I dare say those most beautiful lights in Suwannee County. So this evening when you're going home, if you want to kind of refresh yourself, go down Halveston Street and drive through Heritage Park, and I hope to see everyone Saturday morning. Thank you.
Correction.
Yes.
House tour is $2.
Oh, a correction from Bo. There will be house tours, and it's an opportunity to go through the house if you haven't gone through the house there, and it will be a $2 donation to go through the house, and it'll be worth it. It'll be the best $2 you ever donated. And bring your friends out and tour the house. It's decorated for Christmas. It's like something you've never seen before. So please come out. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman and Board.
Thank you, Mr. Ford.
Ms. Hancock does a great job on that tour, by the way.
Name and address, please.
Steve Fontana, 21181 144th Street, Live Oak. Just one comment on item number 16. And first, I want to thank you guys for being able to make the tough decisions that you make. I think this means everybody was professional, and well, I don't know. But that aside, I don't think tough decision making is. I think you're going to have more, probably. And item number 16, when I hear words like sustainability and equity in any federal grant, or even a state grant for that matter, I'd be looking very closely at that for infringements on freedom, okay? Because and I could give you some examples. I'm from upstate New York, okay? In a rural part of upstate New York, one of the reasons I moved to Suwannee County was because of the way I saw New York State going. I appreciate the agricultural here and just the values of Suwannee County. Not that I didn't move from a great county in upstate New York, but just the state, we were starting to get encroachments. And I can give you some examples maybe later on. And they use the words, not so much equity, although I've seen those words used for encroachments on freedom, but sustainability is a red flag word for me. So any grants, look close,
for any requirements on the people, on land use, things like that, in a grant like that. And also, I don't put it past the federal government to hide those and put the requirements in some place that is, and you will agree to all these things later. I don't think it's legal to do that, but I don't think everybody within our government follows the law. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Hillary?
Evening, gentlemen. I just wanted, Mr. Ford mentioned it, I just wanted to kind of give you guys an update on our festival, Christmas on the Square, that we had this past weekend. 38th annual, we had great weather. We had huge crowds. I just wanted to say thank you to those of you that were able to come to the tree lighting on Thursday. I felt like we had a really good crowd. We had a record number of runners in the 5K, so that was exciting. And then, another great crowd on Friday night and the snow with Busy Bee. And then again, we had our record number of vendors on Saturday. And we had the highest number of parade entries for the Lighted Christmas Parade on Saturday. So it was a full weekend for myself and our board of directors, but I wanted to particularly thank several of the county departments. I don't know if you all understand and know how much and who all participates and helps us with this, but it's almost every department in the county. So from Parks and Rec to the Sheriff's Department to TDC to you all, it really is a collaborative effort from the county, the city, and the chamber. So I just, on behalf of us, or myself and our board of directors, I just want to say thank you. We're already looking forward to number 39. So at this time, if y'all have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Just thank you for a great job.
Yeah.
Thank you. It was a great show.
Yeah.
You ready to take a nap?
I'm pretty good today. Sunday was a different story, but today we're all right. So, thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hillary.
Anybody else wishing to make a public comment? Seeing none, we'll move along. Mr. Administrator?
No comments.
No comment? Mr. Pravat?
No comments, sir.
Mr. Perkins?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. I just want to say thank you to everyone. I did enjoy the conference down in St. Pete. Got a chance to meet a lot with Florida Association of Counties and Institution of County Government. Got a chance to sit on some committees. They sit on committees down there, and I enjoyed it. Had a lot down there to take in. I was assigned to the committee on Community and Urban Affairs Committee and Agriculture and Rural Affairs Committee, and got a chance to meet a lot of great people. Looking forward to taking those things in to bring it back to the county to make our county a better county. Enjoyed it. And thank you for seeing my mentor and fellow Commissioner Fleming out there in the audience. You've seen him tonight.
Thank everybody for coming out and supporting us. And it's gonna take us a little while to get used to everything, but we'll get there. I appreciate y'all.
Commissioner Land?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. I just again want to welcome Mr. Perkins and Commissioner Perkins and Commissioner Mobley to the board here. It's a boardroom, and there's 5 of us, which means there's 5 different opinions, and I think everybody together will arrive at a good decision. Some may disagree, but we all keep it respectful and keep moving in a positive direction for the people that we support. I will say, Mr. Perkins, you got some really big shoes to fill out down there, especially on the invocation. Mr. Commissioner Fleming, he says a really good prayer. He says a really good one, and I've looked up a couple times and had to wipe my eyes a little bit, but he's pretty moving with those. And anyway, I just welcome y'all, and anything we can do to support you or help you, we're here.
Thank you.
Commissioner Hale?
I'd like to say to Hillary, she was up here, thank you. That was a great showing. Lots of folks I know from out of town came and loved it, appreciated it. And I look forward to coming out to the Heritage Park, Ms. Hancock, and getting my tour again this year. But I'm going to shift gears just a little bit and be a little selfish tonight and just say I want to wish my wife, I'm glad Mr. Fleming's here too, by the way. I want to wish my wife a happy anniversary. Today makes 25 years that we've been married. We dated about 7 years prior to that, so, and I'm not going to just feed her a hamburger. We're going to figure something out. It's unfortunate, not unfortunate, but I'm here with you guys having a meeting, and then all 5 of us jet out of town for the next 3 days for conferences, so I'll have to make that up to her. But I always tease everybody, or I tease my wife anyway, 25 years with her just seems like 15 minutes underwater.
You just lost all them brownie points.
But I do love her, and I love her, and I appreciate this board. I do. We had to make some tough decisions, and we will continue to work together. I know we will, and I want the community to have faith in us to know that we will, navigate, adjust, and we will overcome, and we will do what's right for this community as a board, as a whole. Thank you.
Thank you. First thing I'd like to say is, Mr. Harris, I appreciate your service to Suwannee County. I do appreciate what you've done. I want to be respectful. I do like you as a person. I do like you as an administrator. I have my own thing there, and it's not that you haven't done a really good job. You have. And it's a tough decision to make, but it's one that has to be made, and I just had to do what I thought I had to do, and just want to thank you. Appreciate you. Also to the Sims family in Brantford. I guess that's your sister-in-law, Eddie, is that? Stepsister, I'm sorry. Eddie's stepsister passed away, and she was, I don't know, what was her age, Eddie? 58 years old. And so we're just thinking about them. That being said, I just need a motion to adjourn.
Mr. Chairman, before we adjourn, I do want to say to Mr. Harris, I forgot about that. I think Mr. Harris has done a fantastic job for this community. He has thought outside the box in times when we were not thinking out of the box. Maybe not when I was on the board, but previous boards. I mean, you got some things done here that previous boards probably thought were unachievable. You and I didn't always get along, but we were always, I felt like, respectful for each other, and I commend you for that. Like the chairman said, it's nothing personal. You've done a good job while you're here, but I felt like I did what I had to do. But with that said, I wish you well and all the best.
Thank you.
Same here.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner.
just want to thank Mr. Scott also for the cap, and I guess the ladies for the candy. And again, Ms. Harris, thank you all for it too.
With that, I just need a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Perkins, second by Commissioner Land. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Oh.